You know what? I went to Meow Wolf with Hero, and we were like, oh, there's like a couple, like 3 hours before it closes, and they're like, oh, it closes early because there's a concert tonight. You have 45 minutes, and I was like, I really wish you said this before we bought our extremely expensive tickets.
Yeah, why didn't I tell you that? Well, what I
But
did is I bought an
it
annual
was very
pass.
interesting.
I bought an
Oh,
annual
annual
pass
pass. Hmm.
because I live in Santa Fe, and so that gives me access to the one in my own city. Um, but I also was able to get people 20% discounts on their tickets by getting an annual pass. So I got a bunch of people in for 20% off. So that was
Amazing.
kind of nice.
Way to be. Yeah, super interesting that Meow Wolf. Let's just call it an experience, I guess. It's really interesting, and it's also like, huh? It's like, what is this place?
Yeah, and they're all different. Anyway, but ETH Denver was great, and it's a little different every year. Some vendors that were prominent last year were not there at all this year. And I'll get into some of the BCard stuff later when we talk about that. But yeah, ChippyCon was fun. Saw lots of good
Cool. How
stuff
many
going
people did you
on.
guys get out to ChippyCon?
How many did we end up with? It was probably, I'm trying to do a visual on my, probably like, I'm wanting to say 40 or 50, 30 or
Wow. Okay.
40, 30 to 50, somewhere in there.
30 to 50. Do you guys take a group picture?
Yeah, we took a number of pictures. I don't know
Okay,
if we
cool.
took one big group picture because people did come and go, but there were a number
Did
of us
anybody
who
dress
stayed
up
all
this
evening.
time?
There weren't as many dressing up this time, and there was no conga line this time.
Was there a
Well,
conga line last time?
that's an immediate
Yeah,
down.
there was a conga line last time.
I'm kind of
But no, it was
anti
a lot of
conga
fun.
line.
We had the whole floor. It was downstairs. There's the two floor. The upstairs is ground level, and then we were in the downstairs. Um, we had our own bartender. They had some equipment we could use for mics and to get YouTube videos and music going. And yeah, and then Aerodal showed up with some black flags, and I forget what I think they went out on the street later and they sprayed them up or something, but I missed that because their people kind of dispersed a little bit. But no, it's a fun time. I managed to capture a few little capsule interviews of Chippy doing cool things, and so I just need to compile that. And yeah, it was a good time.
Cool. Cool. All right.
Frustrating with
Well,
BCard though, and I'll get into that later.
oh, actually, I would love to hear that, but let's get into it later.
Yep.
Because I was wondering. Anyways, let's get into it as we go through our all hands meet. GM, this is our weekly all team tactical meeting for BCard for March 5th. And we're going to use this time to sync up on work going on around our organization, eliminate blockers, and prioritize our work for the next week. Just FYI, this call is recorded and shared on social media, so if you don't want to be shared, just let me know. In case you don't know what we do, we help purpose-driven communities use Web3 tooling to generate revenue and engagement. That is our raison d'etre. And on the leg metric side, leg metrics are what we're trying to achieve. So right now we're aiming to increase our transaction volume. We're at 887 for the last week, down 114 from the previous week. Our lead metrics, this is what we think are going to move the needle on the leg metrics. We had 8 weekly transacting users, so that's one more than the week previous. We had 1 new user, and we now have 11 communities deployed, with Glow Dollar being the latest community that we have deployed. On the team-wide announcement side, if you have felt like running an in-real-life event or want to run an in-real-life event, I think that's a good way for you to contribute. Feel free to reach out to me if you are interested in that. Other than that, let's move on down to our milestone. So we have 10 weekly transacting users. Well, we're aiming to get to 10 weekly transacting users. That's our milestone that we're aiming for. For the in-app voting side, we did release it to prod last week along with the ChippyCon stuff and the upcoming Black Flag in real life events vote. I'll try to get it up today. We'll see, but that will be the first on the app. And so that will be interesting to see if we get some increased engagement on that one. I think anyone who has bank in their wallet should have access to it, but in general, we will be trying to drop a token to our to all of our users, which is probably going to be like a Black Flag token, the same thing that we use for like the Black Flag Collective, and that will allow them to vote as well. And then next step, as well, is to reach out to OMF, kind of show them the experience, especially once I get the vote out, so they can kind of see it. I'll take a video of me voting using it and show them what we can do and see how they might want to use it. Multiple user bug. Tom has fixed this. Nice one. Way to go, Tom. That one had been eluding me, so I thank you for your help on that. The airdrop rewards are the next up. And so instead of going through a clunky claim process, we'll just airdrop rewards directly to people's wallets. And that should make our in-app voting easier to use too. Any other updates from this perspective, Tom? Anyone else on creating these 10 weekly transacting users? No? All right. Moving on, 10 new users a week. ChippyCon, this is where we can discuss it. We did have one person collect the NFT. We had more signups for new accounts than normal since we started communicating this. So 7 over the last couple weeks rather than just the 1 in the previous weeks before that. We had 4 users on the email list for the Chippy community as well. So, they're kind of like, hey, I want a Chippy community on BCard. Let me know when it's coming. Overall, it was a successful experiment, I would say. And let's understand what an experiment is. It's just us trying something and seeing the response for it. I understand, Dros, that you have some output from this experiment too. So I'd love to document that right now.
Yeah, it was really frustrating. Most of us were not able to run RB card at the event. I'm not sure what was going on with the terminal they were using at the bar. That's the experience I've had before, where it works at some terminals, it doesn't work at other ones. I have some specifics about what the screens were that I was seeing on the terminal at the bar, and I don't know that you want to get into that in this meeting. But I need to document that. It did work at other places though, so I used it. In fact, if I'm just looking at my account right now, and I ran a bunch of transactions. I used it for parking at Meow Wolf. I used it at a Circle K. I used it for Blue Moon Brewing. I used it at the National Western Complex for parking. I used it a number of places. The one place that didn't work was the bar. Actually, a couple
I'd love
places
to
didn't work, but
so there was a couple places didn't work. Okay, that's interesting. So
yeah.
this is good information. And what did it say on the terminal?
I think the terminal was where it said the options it gave me were checking, savings, or credit card. It didn't give me a debit option on that. And so we tried to run it a couple different ways on that terminal.
Yeah.
And I didn't think you'd run it as a checking or savings because it's not really a checking account, but there is a routing number attached to it. So is that technically, quote, a checking account that you would then use that selection on the screen? So we've got some UI issues with certain terminals.
Did you take a picture of that terminal? I wonder what the brand of terminal was and if it's a different brand than other providers.
I did not take a picture of the terminal. Maybe Blue Bear did. I have to check with him.
It's funny because
I
Blue
think
Bear
he was the
able
only
to
one that was able.
Yeah.
What was that?
He was able to successfully run a transaction a couple weeks earlier.
Right. But then that night we just had nobody could get it. It was really frustrating.
Okay. What we can do for those specific users is I think we can send them the exclusive NFT. Could you gather those users? Is that possible?
I'll reach into my memory and we've got lots of pictures too. So I'll
Okay.
We'll see what we can figure out.
Yeah, and in
I would
general, you
frankly
can.
like to drop it to everybody that is there, even if they don't have a B card. But
Well, there's
see what we
another
can do.
like a very similar POAP that was there, right?
That's true. Yeah, and most people did collect that. The
Yeah.
other one.
So I think most people got that, and then for the B card users, they get the one with the bunny corn. I feel like that's fair, and we'll create another thing in the future for anyone who joins the Chippy community as well. I think would be interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, it was
Um,
a nice experiment. Everybody had a great time, aside from some of the technical glitches. Um, yeah, we had a combination of Black Flag and Chippy Fam. And I ran into a couple people later, like Xerox Joshua, and he was so bummed that he missed it. That there was a lot of stuff going on Wednesday night. And he was like, "Oh man, I want to get. What about my book and my mug and stuff?" And I said, "No, don't worry, Johnny, I'll get it to you." So no, I mean, people love Chippy, man, and with as busy as like Xerox Joshua and people like that are, he would. I mean, it was top of mind. So, so yeah, it's a very organic community, and it's the kind that we talk about all the time, and it's one that's actually exists, and it's super cool. And I was out talking to people around about the thing too, and just in passing, and talking about BCard and what we're trying to do with it. So just anecdotal stuff there.
cool. Yeah. So in general, apparently you can use credit anytime you want. Like you could, like not anytime you want, but like that card can appear as a credit card and be used as a credit card.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one thing
I
to note.
yeah. And I used it at one. I forget one of the terminals I used it at. It charged a. I forget what the fee was. It charged some kind of
If you
an
put it as a
excess.
debit card, it actually charges a fee, which is something that we need to communicate better.
Right.
It's like we updated the onboarding process, but maybe we need to update it even more because basically we want people to say credit when they use it, even though it's a debit
Oh,
card.
okay.
Because if
Okay.
they say credit, then they will not get charged that fee, which is the craziest thing, right? But
Okay. Interesting.
yeah, and I guess that's something um, we need to make it clearer that people should treat this as a credit card as much as possible. Avoid the 50-cent fee. Um, Usable at more locations. Yeah. So when I'm using it in Canada, I also like just say it's a credit card and it works, right? Like that's the only reason it works is because it's like on the Visa network. As soon as you say it's a debit card, there's all these additional things that have to happen, which is like you don't expect any regular user to know this, right? All we need to
Right.
like make clear to everyone is like it's the tough part is I can't call it a credit card either. Like I'm not
Oh,
allowed to call it
right.
a credit card. I
Oh,
just call it a credit card, right?
okay.
So it is a let's say a trick um of the system. I wonder if we can like see when you're getting charged that fee and then like send the user an email right after being like, "Hey, you got charged this fee. Just remember to always choose credit," or something like that, right? I don't know. Anyways, there has to be something we can do to make this more clear. Anyways, thank you for that feedback, Trost. Yeah, that sounds really frustrating.
Yeah, and I did run into debit a couple of times where it asks for the PIN, and it did work.
Yeah, yep,
So yeah, I just need to document more clearly what I've been doing. But yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
more consistent, I think, if I have it where it's a tap to pay using Apple Pay because I've got it
Yeah,
embedded in my wallet there. That seems to work more consistently.
that's one of the reasons we moved to tap to pay as well, is because the experience is like um is more, let's say, homogenous. I don't know, or is more consistent.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it's more seamless.
exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, good experiment. It's the only way we're going to learn is to use these things in the real world and try and hook these things up and see where the problems are. So
Exactly. Okay, so I'm gonna also put that in Asana as we get in there. But yeah, so that we know to drop these chippy NFTs to all those people who at least tried. And we'll go from there. But yeah, thanks Drost for running it, and
you
as
bet.
well, we'll talk about compensation for the effort that you put into it as well when we get into the tasks a little bit more. Um, yeah, thanks for that. So on the testing of messaging side, we had a discussion last week. Um, we had a discussion last week at the ops meeting. Reaching out to various community leaders is what we're going to be aiming for. So rather than going directly to community members, we're going to aim to go to community leaders. So we're both going to reach out one-on-one, CryptoDad and I, to 5 influencers, hopefully for the next couple of weeks. And last week, you might recall that we had a discussion around the segments of people to reach out to. And so this week we're just gonna reach out to kind of like influencer communities. I'm specifically going after journalists. So independent journalists. I'm gonna try to reach out to 5 of them and see what they think. CryptoData is gonna reach out mainly to NFT artists. And then next week we'll try to go for another segment of community. The goal with this is try to be a little bit systematic in how we look at community leaders and see if our current offering makes sense to certain types of community leaders. So that's what we're at on there. On the endowment fund side, the website's updated, so take a look. You can see that there's a little bit more information on how to participate. And I added a section for sponsors. I also added a section for previously funded events. And so like the intent behind that was to make it so that when I put a proposal up at PurpleDAO, you can kind of see a little bit more what our history is. So like, hey, what have we done? How do we do it? That kind of thing. And then there's also space for sponsors. So you can see like, okay, here's Black Flag DAO, and here's their wiki page and all that kind of good stuff. There's also a space where we can now say like, hey, if you're sponsoring DAO, you can be on this page as well. It's just a way for us to like make the offering to DAOs a little bit more obvious, so we can increase the amount of funds that we have locked and hopefully increase the amount that we're giving to users. So my next step on that is to write a proposal to get funding from PurpleDAO, and hopefully I'll do that today. Of course, I've said that in the past, so we shall see. And tagged him in the last episode an email to our list, which I have not done yet. It's March, so I should do it very soon. And so I'll do my best. Any questions on 10 new users a week? All right, finally, 10 high quality communities. So we have achieved this. So there's less urgency from me on this in general. More, I'm looking to try to figure out what kinds of communities that this is going to work for better, rather than try to onboard way more communities. That being said, we did release Glow Dollar last week, which is a good, let's call it like a good alignment partner for us. I would really like to do a co-promotion campaign with them, like a co-branded campaign with them. And the reason is, our users and their users probably have a lot of overlap in values, and so that cross-pollination could be really good. We're both aiming for public goods. We're both aiming to use this kind of real-world fee to create revenue for public goods and purpose-driven organizations. So I do think that we have like some good cross promotion legs there, but I have not been able to get Bram on the email. So we'll see. Potential next communities: Chippy and Black Flag, and we're also looking like if we have like someone from one of these one-on-one reach outs that we do who's very interested, we'll also get them to we could opportunistically add a community that way too. But again, this isn't like my top priority right now. My top priority is trying to understand which communities this can work for. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, yes.
Great. Thanks.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, let's get into our tasks. I'm going to add something into the inbox. Or actually, what I'll do is I'll add it under the ChippyCon list. Ensure everyone who had a B card at the event gets a exclusive NFT. All right. So we'll add that here, and we'll just do this. Ensure everyone at the event gets an NFT, or everyone with a B card at the event gets an NFT. All right, and I'll assign that to Drost. Success criteria. Get a list of people who had a B card at the event. Get their emails that they use with B card. Send the list to Links or Tom. All right, all team projects. All right, so I added in here. I'm gonna put it into this week, and we'll see where we go from there. And I'll assign it to Drost. I thought I already did. Okay, there we go. All right, and then for this ChippyCon event, how long do you think you spent on this, Drost?
How long did I spend on it? I haven't been keeping track of time. What would you like me to track? Because
how much? Like the question really is, how much B card do you want for this execution?
yeah, I
Typically,
don't.
we
I
do
don't
like
even
1,000
know.
B card an hour. I don't know, like
Do 1,000.
10,000 B
Okay.
card, 15,000 B
Okay.
card. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I spent a fair amount of time on it, so that sounds reasonable.
Okay.
If it sounds reasonable to you, it sounds reasonable to me.
Okay, and also we'll also give 5,000 B card to Perchy. Make sense?
There you go. There you go.
Okay. And I'll put this into the accounting.
How about Johnny? Johnny played a big role in it.
Did he? Like for ChippyCon
Oh,
or
yeah.
for the specific execution?
For the execution of ChippyCon, yeah.
But not for the execution of this of like the NFT?
Oh no, not this one.
Okay. Because
Not the
I am gonna be like as part of the Black Flag in real life events, I'm hoping that a lot of that goes to Johnny this month.
All right, cool.
So we'll see. But I have another thing in mind for Johnny to get compensated.
Awesome.
All right. So I'll remove this from here, from the all team projects, but I will leave the ensure everyone with a B card at the event is there. All right. In-app voting. So it feels like at least the current iteration is on live right now. We do have something that maybe this is automatically drop rewards to users embedded wallet. This feels like big enough that we could make it as its own thing in here in the all team project. And we'll put it into this week. But I don't know, like, I don't know if you've started this or if you're even looking at this right now, Tom.
Yeah, it's on the radar, but nothing's set in stone yet.
Okay. Community glow dollar. So I'll move this a little bit further down. And then year-end taxes and more. I'll reach out to Arcusti on this. We did have Panama reach out to us as well. So I'll also put this and do the PNL for Panama Foundation. And probably this is going to be something that goes on me. So I'll put it here. Glow Dollar is out, but I am going to put it in the block for now because I do want to reach out to them about doing a co-branding campaign because the communication perspective has not been completed. But we're kind of low dollar. Let's put it like this. I'll assign this to myself. And I'll put this into the inbox. Sorry, not into the inbox, into the this week. And I'll try to reach out to them again. We'll see. But yeah. So this seems like it is more important. Identity messaging / growth dashboard. This is like the one-on-one reach outs that we're doing. I'll put this in here. Reach out to 5 influencers. Reach out to 5 independent journalists. Okay, so I'm going to attach this to myself, attach this to CryptoDad, and we'll go from there. But essentially, we have that going on. This is more for the user needs research, I guess, but we'll move it over here. Yeah, maybe this should go in here. Okay. Let's put this a little bit lower. We'll put this user needs research higher. And this is the one that we want to put those other things on. Okay. Oop. I'll put it in here. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is the work that we're doing on the community leaders. Let's call it community leader research. And so this is the work that I was kind of mentioning before. We're going to reach out, and you can see our community hit list here. So you can see this. This is where I've started with, but I'm going to continue to move on from there as we go. And next up on this list, Black Flag Endowment Fund. So I did update the website. Update the website. Write a proposal to purple. Okay, so I'll add this myself. And the website is updated, so I'll close that off and put it on the bottom of the list. Great. Okay. And yeah, other than that, I think that's kind of it. Anything else that people are working on that's not on this list? Tom, do you have some other stuff on the product side that you're thinking about? The databases or the databases for card data? You just muted yourself, I think, Tom.
Oh, yep. Hey, how's it going? Sorry about that. Yeah, we're working on reviewing through and just cleaning up some of the old database data. So working on some database queries for that. That's in progress this week.
Okay, great. Put it into the inbox. Into this week. Nice. All right. So that's kind of it, unless there's anything else that people are looking at here. Nope. All right. Cool. Let's get into what we shipped this week. So Tom released a Chippy and in-app voting to prod. Drost was at the ChippyCon helping people get the NFT unsuccessfully. Tom fixed the multiple user bug. I updated the Black Flag Collective site. I reached out to 2 influencers with 3 more coming, and I did support for 3 users, including one that was a little bit scary, but it ended up just being a user error. Anything else that anyone shipped last week that we should put onto here?
Oh, I sent out the monthly statements emails, but late.
Yes, actually I saw that, and it reminds me that I should duplicate the monthly chores. Duplicate. So this is March monthly chores. And I should post the rewards onto social. All right. So I'll assign this to myself. And this week. Okay, great. And so monthly email statements are sent. Nice. Thanks for doing that, Tom. I appreciate that.
It was on my list for 2 days, and I kept overlooking it. My wife reminded me this morning. She said something that triggered my memory. I was like, that's it. I got to do it.
Well, I'm glad you did. It's helpful. All right. So Tom shipped out the monthly email statements. So I will say that I'm a little bit unprepared for this meeting. I don't have a discussion topic today, unless there's anyone that has something that they want to discuss. No, nothing else this week. Okay, I think the output. Well, I mean, I'll just bring it up real quickly. I think the output from that community segment is really important, and I also think it's something that everyone can do. So if there's like a local community that you're aware of, or just like some kind of community that is purpose driven that you know about, just talking to that community leader or someone in that community would be really helpful. You know, like the benefit of a DAO or like a on-chain community is that anyone can kind of contribute. So like, for instance, if you have like a local food bank or a local shelter or local parks or an online group or a book club or something like that you're part of, and and you might tell them about BCard and ask if that's something that's interesting to them. I think like the way that I'm going about it right now is I'm telling people that it can generate revenue for their community or for themselves. I'm not sure if that messaging is going to work, but if people go out and do that, if you even just talk to one person in the next week, that would be a huge help. So, you know, just think about that as you're going about your day-to-day life. If you see a community and you ask them if they have trouble with revenue, if they have trouble engaging their members, and that's something that's interesting to them, then yeah, let me know. Other than that, maybe we should. Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I was just going to say, did you guys see that I had pitched impact theory community on BCard card art last week, or was it the week before? I can't really recall.
I think it was the week before. Yeah, I'm actually not quite sure what impact theory is.
Yeah, so I might have posted a couple of quotes up. The gentleman's name is Tom Bilyeu. He's an entrepreneur, founder, now YouTube content guy mostly. But he does talk a lot about like business building and mindset, which I find pretty interesting. And it does like a news show filtered through his viewpoint, which, you know, I find pretty valuable in terms of like summarizing the news. But anyway, they're shifting over in terms of he's trying to get their audience to become a community. And the more they kept talking about it, the more it kept like pinging off of my brain and being like, they want to be a community. They should have a BCard. And so I ended up reaching out to their support people, and they said they escalated up my information to the folks to take a peek at. So we'll see if they look at it or anything comes of it. But anyway, just sort of funny little thought about that community, but it just the way that I thought there might be some synergy.
Yeah, definitely. There definitely could be some synergy. I think that like in general, these little kinds of executions are could be good for us, and that there's someone on our team who cares. I think that's the most important thing, right? Like there's someone who internally is kind of reaching out and trying to do some stuff. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I don't think I'm particularly great at outreach, but I think I'll get better at it if I practice.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate that.
Same way here. Obviously I was talking about it at ETH Denver, and I'm careful not to be too pushy about it because everybody's shilling something. And if it comes about organically, or people ask what you're working on, or happen to be buying something, it's like, oh, by the way, and mention it. And I've even shown people what the statement looks like on the app, how clean it is. just kind of as it comes up. And obviously at crypto events, it's a little more convenient to talk about it that way. But I've talked about it with other people too. And the kind of messages that seem to resonate are um, returning, you're going to pay, the merchant's going to pay bank fees anyway when you run a card. And why not return those fees to the community that you're a part of rather than letting the bank collect it? And I think that message does resonate with people. The question is, they're nodding and agreeing, but is it going to cause action? What's going to cause them to go ahead and sign up for it? What's going to cause them to go to the next step? Because there are so many different affinity cards and ways of supporting your favorite organizations. And so, yeah, I think honing in on that message is going to be key. One of the things we talked about was like local animal charities, and maybe even being able to sponsor a specific entity, a person, or an animal, or whatever, so that it ties it more directly to who or what you're supporting. So yeah, we've kind of been brainstorming a little bit about that, just over drinks and stuff, and then experiencing how the card's working in real life, and so yeah, much more thinking about that. I'm really glad I had a chance to be involved in a real life experiment and have, that's the only way we're going to get better at it. Is it's all theory until you're out there in the real world. So it was a good experience.
Yeah, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? So
Sure.
I think like testing that plan is the most important thing we could do. I think like one of the pillars that we kind of were working with before is that there's not enough like the best way to reach users is through their existing communities if we can, right? Because that is the place where users already feel trust and they already feel connection. So if they see that something is going to be helping their community and the community is already on board, it makes sense that they would like sign up for it, right?
Yeah, and one of the examples I gave was the Open Medicine Foundation. Because then you can talk about how what that specifically is for, and then I can show them that I can switch to that community right there in the app, which I've already done, by the way, because I want to earn an OMF because I really like what they're doing. And that really resonates with the fact that you can switch on the fly like that, and each community has its own logo represented, and I think that once you get to that part, it's the gears start to turn.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I think that
Anyway,
idea of the wheels turning, it's something that we have to take into account. It like when you're looking at that, what do they call it? The flywheel. It's always going to be slow at first. The point
right.
is to put in enough effort so that it hits that critical mass and then it starts moving on its own.
Shelby says she has a question. I just saw that.
Hey, Shelby.
Hey, is there like a concrete amount of rewards that a community would get back, like per use, or is there like a tier thing? I can think of
Yep.
a million different things, like my son's football league, the PTA. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Different like real life places, but like hard to pitch something. So I don't.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a tiered reward system, and so like in general, um, where did I put this one? How BCard makes money. So this is what it's this is our interchange revenue share. And in general, this is something I wanted to talk to Tom and the others about, but I think that we should just I think in the past we've been saying like, hey, we'll give you half of everything we get. I think we should just quote this number for now. It's not a lot of revenue for us, but it makes it easier to communicate. So it's 0.1% up to 0.5%. So 0.1% of all of anything that's spent. So if you spend $100, it means that 10 cents goes to that community. The intent is that if we have more communities and we're getting more spending that's going on, then we could get up to 0.5% that we're giving to community. So for every $100 you're spending, 50 cents goes to your community.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. So if you need any other like information on that, I think like in general, I'm trying to figure out the sales pitch as I'm talking to some of these community members. But if you're talking to people and you see like they just don't understand, they don't get it, they seem to be tripping up on the percentage or something like that, just let me know. Any kind of information like that is going to help us refine how we're pitching, and I'm planning on talking to more people as we go.
Okay, cool.
All right. All right, thanks for that. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
So, for a community to really get any meaningful revenue from this, it would take a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. I think like the intent is for us to kind of more than just create revenue. It's also to create engagement. Like I think that like the endowment fund is clearly just like more revenue in general because people are getting like between 5 to 10% on their money instead of just 0.1%. But if you're looking at it like, hey, you're doing good with every swipe, there's a certain type of community who might be interested in that. In fact, we are giving out more than like if you were to get like a Susan B. Komen Foundation, or if you were to get like a college, if you were to get like a college credit card, we're giving out more than those groups are giving out, and there are people who still use those other cards. So I think it's like more about the alignment that that person is showing with the community than it is about the raw revenue itself, but that remains to be seen. Like ultimately our goal is to get to 2% per transaction. That's what is possible, but it's not possible unless we get some transaction volume.
Right. So I guess what I'm thinking is that in the early stages, we need to do a couple of things. One is compare it to other cards that return to community that yes, our rate is higher. And then secondly, that it's not just about the fees that get returned to the community. It's about building a community. And then I think we really need to think deeply about ways that it can help the community beyond returning the fees, because that's where I think the leverage is going to go, and where people aren't going to worry so much about, what they're earning on the card. It's like, oh, all these different cards have rewards, but this is how it helps my community. B, this is how it helps me. C, this is something I can talk. It gives all these other things that are non-financial, but that have some other kind of intrinsic value, or I should say, I'm trying to think of the right adjective there, but you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I mean, so like the reason why people were willing to use the B card for the chippy was because they were probably going to get an NFT that they can't get anywhere else, right? So there's like a kind of value there that like it's not onerous for the artist to provide, but it's valuable for the community to receive. The difference between the value that someone places on something and the cost it costs to create something, that is like the difference in the opportunity. So our goal is to provide more value than we have right now, because if we can do that, then the entire package makes sense. So you're absolutely right, Gross. And
I'm thinking like a VIP card. Just like entry. You know how you get like a special wristband or something to get into the VIP section of an event or party. I could score. Obviously, I'm just coming from East Denver, so it's top of mind. But I mean, just the fact of having that card, that virtual card in your wallet, that because it doesn't show the number on the front in the virtual wallet, you have to flip it over to do that. So just by having that card in your wallet on your phone, and with the logo of the organization, it's almost like it's a VIP entry ticket, right?
Exactly. CryptoDad's singing along the same lines, actually.
Yeah, or you could drop just like Luma events, you could drop an NFT into the embedded wallet that's like the annual pass to their gala events or something, or early entry to a museum. The kind of things like PBS does. They issue if you give them donate like $75 or whatever, $150 a year, They have a card that you spend at local merchants, and it gets you like a buy one get one free or a 10% discount or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say like a membership card, but it just also happens to do payments.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And so these are the kinds of things that we need to ideate and experiment with. This is why we're reaching out to communities to kind of see like, hey, what's going to work for a community? Can we run an execution with them? Right? We have a certain set of technologies. If we can find the right use case and the right audience, then we can be successful, and that will open up a whole new it will open up a lot of avenues for us. So I think that that's the key to remember, is that we are very much in the experimentation phase, and the experiments depend on a couple things: what tools we have, so like the product itself, the audience that we're delivering those tools to, and what it actually is, like what benefit we're giving to that audience. So in the case of Chippy, we just ran a little thing to see, hey, we can see in real life transactions, is it valuable for people to get an NFT from their favorite artist? And we found that it was valuable. Of the people who are in the Chippy community and the people who are in real life at ETH Denver, there were people who actually signed up and tried to make that happen, right? And so there's some sort of value for some people there. That is a great experiment data point. We need to get more of those data points. We need to reach out to other communities and come up with different kinds of executions we can run.
Cool.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone, for being here. I really appreciate all of you here. I will try to be more prepared for next week's meet, but in the meantime, I just want to say thank you. It is really important that we spend this time together. I think that it is what fills me up and allows me to kind of keep pushing forward on this. I used to work on a lot of projects alone, and they never had the staying power. And the reason was because I didn't have people to work on them with. So I think just the fact that you guys are all here with me, it gives me the kind of stamina that I would never have on my own. So I just want to thank you all so much. I have a lot of gratitude to all of you for that. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, Lynx. And I also connected up with a couple of folks in Toronto that I mentioned you to. And so when I get my stuff together here from decompressing, I'll share that with you.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks, Stross.
Likewise, thanks for keep working, guys.
All the best. Talk to you later.
All right. Have a
Bye
good day.
for now.